in a situation where like I said, you might have a situation where your wife, right, who has very minimal training, might be shooting the gun. Okay, so you want to train your wife on how to use the gun, teach her the basic thing about loading the gun, but if she's got minimal training, you want to basically keep the gun loaded, put it around the chamber, safety on. All right, and of course, this assumes that you don't have small kids in the house, or you have a place to put this gun where that's not accessible to small kids. Maybe you have a safe with an electronic lock. But I want to keep this gun loaded with around the chamber, and that's how I would want my wife to find this gun if she ever needed it, right? Because then, with the around the chamber, this is my safety here, right? Basically, the way I teach my wife, I say, basically, you're going to kickstart the gun. Push that down, the gun is not ready to fire, okay? So the nice thing about an AR-15, it's kind of intuitive. To take the safety off, you're pushing it down, so you're starting it just like a motorcycle, and that's something that people can easily relate to. And the other consideration is that if my wife is shooting this gun, okay, she may not have especially under a stressful situation, she may not have a perfect stance, okay? She might not grip the gun tight, pull it into her chest, and get a proper cheek wheel, okay? Quick demonstration, this is the proper way to shoot the gun, right? Take your safety off, okay? Right. So that's the proper way to shoot the gun. Tighten your body, face on the gun, looking through your scope, okay? But here's the thing, let's say in a panic situation, my wife doesn't basically pull the gun into her chest. Nice thing about this gun is that you can shoot this in a completely unconventional position. So if my wife is panicking and she gets into some weird, stupid position like this, the gun will still fire, okay? And if she's shooting into a narrow corridor, like a hallway, right, she's gonna hit those bad guys, okay? Likewise, even, as far as the red dot, if I can see that red dot, like if I'm shooting underneath this table here, like right now, I really don't have a good position, but I can see my red dot. I'm aiming at that rim on the right side. Okay. You can see where the bullet went. I don't know if they hit the rim or if they didn't hit the rim. They went really close to it because I saw it, my 65 MOA circle was right around that rim. So I can give this gun to my wife, who doesn't shoot a whole lot, right? She rarely shoots. It might be surprising for you guys to know, but she's really not a gun person, okay? She's not against guns, but she's not a gun person. She's got other things to do in her life, like raise my kids and stuff like that, okay? So she doesn't get to spend a whole lot of time shooting. But this is a gun that she can easily shoot. She can pick up the gun, kickstart it, right? Push the safety down, and the gun is ready to fire, okay? So, and even if she doesn't get the gun tight in her chest, get a perfect cheek weld, she can shoot the gun. And even if she doesn't aim the gun at all, even, because, like I explained earlier, the two hands are further apart, if she points her thumb at the bad guy, right, or, you can even teach somebody to use their index finger, just because that might be more intuitive for them. So even if the face is off the gun in a tight hallway, if they're pointing their arm or their finger or their thumb at the bad guy, they will be able to hit the bad guy. And with 30 rounds in the magazine, with 30 rounds, a lot of rounds, okay? With a full magazine, you're gonna solve that problem, okay? So that's another reason why this is a great gun. A fairly untrained person is able to shoot the gun. It's easy to train them, and even if they're really bad at aiming, if they're just pointing the gun, even if they're holding it in a stupid position like this, if they're pointing this gun in the right direction, they're gonna hit bad guys, especially if they start firing multiple rounds. Now, with the handgun on the other hand, right? Okay. Now, as you saw before with that gun over there, I was able to shoot it from up here, and the gun has enough weight that it's able to cycle to cycle and feed. Okay. What most people do with handguns, most new shooters, is they do what we call limp wristing, okay? They're not holding the gun tight enough. A lot of times they'll grab it down here loosely so that when the gun fires, the gun's flipping up like this. And what that's going to do, that's going to cause the gun to jam. Because in order for a handgun to work, basically there's two parts here, two halves. The bottom half, which has the grip, and the top half with the slide. the bottom half has to stay still while the top half is moving back and forth. If the whole gun is moving, it's going to split the force up, and basically it's either going to fail to eject the round, or it's going to fail to put a round in the chamber. So when I shoot this handgun, like normally I'm going to get it high up on the gun like this, right? And I'm going to push forward, I'm getting my weight behind the gun so that the gun has something to push against. Now, even if I'm shooting, let's say, I'm in a situation where I'm drawing out of the holster, somebody's grappling with me, I pull the gun out and I'm shooting here. I've got my arm firm, really firm, and I'm bracing the gun so that the bottom of the gun doesn't move around, and the slide is able to move back and forth, and the gun's able to cycle. Same thing if I find myself up here, let's say because I'm coming around the corner or whatever, I'm holding the gun firmly so the bottom of the gun is not moving while the gun is cycling, okay? Most new shooters with minimal training are not going to do that. They're going to hold the handgun really loose so that the whole gun is flipping around, and what's going to happen is the slide's not going to come back far enough, and they're going to jam the gun up after the first round, and then they're not going to be able to unjam it, especially in the dark or in low light situations, under stressful situations. Okay, so that's why the best gun is basically the AR-15. This is an easy gun for women to shoot, really easy gun for adolescents to shoot. You may have like a 18-year-old, 17-year-old, even a 16-year-old. Okay, in a disaster type of situation, those can be very useful assets. They should also be trained on how to use these guns in case you get injured or whatever situation is. They need to be able to use this gun, and this is an easy gun for them to learn to shoot. Now, let's look at some other guns and why they're not such great options. Okay, a lot of times people go, "Oh, revolver's a great choice." Okay, the problem with a revolver, the trigger pull on most revolvers is pretty tough. And what happens is when a lot of women, when I have them shoot a revolver, right, the trigger pull, because it's a double action trigger, what they end up doing is, first of all, they have a hard time lining up the sights because revolvers usually have really small, hard to see sights. Okay? And then what they're doing is, as they're squeezing, okay, for a woman, it requires a lot of power. So as they're squeezing, they're jerking the gun, they're moving it left or right. Okay, so they're moving their sights all over the place. So this is a really hard gun for most women to shoot. The other thing is, because it's a handgun, like your hands are close together. If I tell somebody who's fairly new to shooting, extend the gun, a lot of times they'll come out like this or they'll come out like that. They're not going to come out and point the gun, the barrel, and orient the barrel, straight out ahead of them. Okay, so that's another issue. This gun, a small gun like this, is really hard to orient. Okay, and the other bad thing is it only takes 5 or 6 rounds. But it's a 6 round. Okay, 6 rounds. With a 30-round magazine, if you're at the top of the staircase and you've got bad guys charging up, you can basically unload down the staircase. A revolver like this is a 357, or this is a 357. Also shoots 38s. You only got 6 rounds. Okay, and this gun, yeah, it might penetrate, it might go through, or it may not. It might go through the first bad guy and it may stop. So you may not be able to hit multiple bad guys with 1 round. So that's a bad choice. Under stressful circumstances, this is not the best choice for home defense. Okay. Another gun I've seen a lot this week is tiny little guns like this. Okay. This is a great carry gun. I carry this gun. Okay. I carry this gun because I get to practice a lot, and I can be really good with this. But a light gun like this, and this is a 380, because the gun is so light, when the gun fires, the thing feels like a cannon in your hands, okay? Because the gun itself doesn't have enough mass, to pick up the recoil, okay? The other thing with this gun is it has a very long trigger pull, okay? So when so for me, it's not a problem. It's not a problem, basically, pulling the trigger and keeping the sights, from moving, right? If you look at my sights, they're not moving. Okay, and just now, I was just having, because I was doing it one-handed, I was having a little issue finding the sights and orient them. This has really low sights. Okay, so this is basically a pocket gun. This is a gun I carry on days that I really don't expect to have a problem. Okay, if there's riots and stuff going on, I'm not carrying this little thing. I'm carrying a Glock. Okay, I'm carrying a Glock with a 17-round magazine. that little thing is for days that, you know, everything is wonderful outside. I don't expect to have any problems. Okay? So I've seen a lot of women with this gun recently, buying this gun as new gun buyers, and basically, you know, what I find is that women tend to equate small with easy, okay, and the opposite is true when it comes to guns. You know, small is really, really hard, okay, big is really, really easy. You know, that's why they give soldiers the easiest guns that they can use, especially under stressful conditions, okay. Let's talk about this gun. This gun's a 9mm, and 9mm might be a great choice for some people. Like they make AR-15s that will shoot 9mm, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But what you want to get it in the AR-15 style with a safety like with a thumb lever like this, okay, that you can just kickstart down. The ones like this one that have that sliding bolt that goes back and forth. I mean, I shoot this gun all the time, and half the time I can't remember which way I'm supposed to slide that, left or right, okay? So that's, I don't like guns that have the sliding safety, okay? It's a safety bolt. It goes back and forth, you know, yeah, so that's confusing, okay, which way that has to go. So using an AR-9, okay, which is an AR-15 that shoots 9mm, is fine, especially if you're in an apartment situation. If that's what you feel comfortable using, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. But get one that in the AR-15 style. You know, get one that when you pick up the gun, you can come up, click that down, and you're ready to shoot the gun. Okay, just straight down. There's only one direction you can go into, straight down. Okay, so that's an important aspect, because that you're gonna find in the dark. That little safety switch that goes back and forth, you're not gonna find that in the dark. Okay. AK-47. Okay, a great gun. Lots of guys love this gun. I love this gun. This is not the best choice for women because there's more recoil. The other thing is that the magazine can be, if you do have to do a magazine change, if the magazine's full, sometimes you can have the magazine, you know, a little difficulty rocking it in, as opposed to you know, AR-15. First of all, it locks open on the last round, so you know the gun's empty. And basically, it just goes in, comes out, goes in. That is a lot harder. You can do this in the dark. You can find this put in the dark. With the AK-47, you can have a little bit of difficulty getting that magazine. But the main thing, okay, is that most AK-47s are not red dot friendly. Okay, this AK has a red dot on it, just like the ARs, but basically, I had to spend an extra $100 to put this on here. I had to basically, you know, I had to do some work to get it clamped onto the barrel. You know, it's different from this rail. Okay, this rail I also put on, but this rail, the only job of this rail is basically to hold the flashlight. Okay, so if this goes on a little bit crooked or whatever, it doesn't make that's not going to affect how well the flashlight works. If the red dot, if this rail is meant to carry the red dot. So if this rail is not installed properly, that red dot, you know, might not hold zero. Okay. So, and the other thing is, I mean, basically, once you put the red dot here, there's a minimal space where you can attach other things like lights and stuff like that. So, you know, although AKs are great rifles, it's not the best choice for a first-time gun buyer. Like I said, the gun has more recoil. It's going to want to lift more. If your wife or your daughter has to shoot this gun, you know, it's a little bit more difficult for her to handle. Okay, so that's a very important consideration. Like I said, most of them don't come red dot ready. You have to spend more money and basically, you know, add this rail that will take the red dot. Okay, and finally, I want to talk to you guys about shotguns. All right, let's talk about shotguns. Because a lot of people equate shotgun with home defense. Shotgun is positively the worst choice you can have. You have a tube that only holds 5 rounds, which is a very low capacity, and you have to do a lot of manual work between your shots. Okay, a lot of people think that with a shotgun you don't have to aim. You do have to aim, because here's the thing. Yeah, the shot does spread, right? So, but here's the thing, it spreads like over, let's say from here to that berm over there, which is about 30 yards away. Yeah, the shot will spread out to this wide, okay? when it comes out of the muzzle, basically it's the size of the muzzle, okay? So within the first 10 or 20 feet, it hasn't had a chance to spread out to here. It's basically only spread out about that much. So if I'm standing here, and if you're not aiming that gun well, and you shoot here, or shoot here, or shoot here, or shoot here aside, you're gonna miss me. So you do have to aim the shotgun. And the shotgun, usually they don't, first of all, most of them don't come red dot ready. Secondly, they usually don't even give you a rear sight. You just have a front bead. And what that does is that relies on you keeping your face on the gun, okay, in order for you to see that front bead. And, you know, because if I have it here, yeah, I can see the front bead, but it's not, you know, I'm not aiming the gun properly. The other thing is, especially a pump, you know, basically there's a lot of work involved. You gotta, you know, every time you fire the gun, you gotta pump it. If you don't pump it hard enough, you're not gonna get a good ejection. You can get a jam. Okay. Now, what I find that happens a lot of times when I'm training people, right? They load up the tube, right? First of all, there's a lot of effort to load up this tube. This is really hard to do in the dark if you're not an experienced shooter. So, you know, eventually they end up, you know, they figure out how to load this tube. Let me put my ears on. Okay. So, great. They got the tube loaded, right? And then what I do is I tell them, okay, pump the gun and fire a round. So they go over here. Oh, crap. It's locked, okay? The reason is because at some point, they accidentally pumped it already, okay? And now the firing pin's in the rear position and the gun is locked. And now in order to get around the chamber, you got to hit this release down here. And on some shotguns, the release is here. On others, is over here. And others is over here. So now you got to hit this release in order to open it up and pump the gun, okay? I just shot that piece of steel from here to there, which is about, I don't know, it's about 15 feet. You can see, and this is a short barrel, right? So it's not gonna, you know, short barrel is gonna spread even faster. It only spread about, what, 4 inches, okay? So at close distance, that shot hasn't had a chance to really spread out a lot, okay? So that's one of the things you gotta consider if you're using a shotgun. How much does it spread, and at what distance does it spread at, okay? Now the other thing I'm gonna do is, in order for this gun to work, you know, to pump, right? After you fire the gun, you have to immediately pump this hard, okay? Go forward, take your next shot. Now here's the thing. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna pump this slowly, right? If I pump this slowly, like most women will do, well, that time let's do it again. Okay, what happens a lot of times when people pump it slowly, the case doesn't come out all the way, and it'll fall back in, and it'll jam the gun up. Let's try that again. If I do this enough times, I'll get it. Yep. There you go. See, I just jammed the gun up, okay? So, under stress, in the dark, low light conditions, okay, a lot of women, they're gonna slowly pump the shotgun rather than pump it hard enough to get the shell to really kick out, right? The way I just did that. They're gonna pump it slowly and they're gonna create a jam, okay? So, that's why shotguns are really terrible choice. First of all, the gun's heavier. It's a lot heavier than the AR-15. You have a lot less capacity, only 5 rounds. Good luck trying to load this in the dark or under stress, okay? I mean, I've actually been to ranges where I see like cops doing drills with shotguns, and I see them fumbling the shells, okay? So, you know, I mean, that's the reality. Shotguns are hard guns to work, okay? It's a fun gun. It's a challenging gun. I enjoy the challenge. I enjoy working with shotguns because it's a difficult gun, and it basically, that challenge makes it more fun for me. But for home defense, I don't want a challenge. I just want easy, okay? So it's a heavy gun. It's got very low capacity. You've got to make sure you got that cheek weld in order to hit anything, and you've got to make sure you pump it hard. And like I said, most new shooters, they don't know whether they got a round chamber or they don't have a round chamber. A lot of times they go to pump it and the gun is locked. They're trying to find this, and a lot of times I'll stress them intentionally, and I see that they're fumbling all over the place. They're turning the gun upside down, trying to find that thing over there. The other thing is the safety. It's got that sliding bar that goes back and forth. That's another nightmare for people. They don't know which way that, under stress, they don't know which way they need to be pushing that. so they don't know if their safety is on or off. But that, bottom line, a shotgun, which is a fun gun, is not a very good choice for home defense. The reason why shotguns were traditionally, associated with home defense is because a shotgun was basically a tool that you could buy at, it's a farmer's tool, that farmers use to control, rats and crows and other things that would eat their crop. So you could pretty much go into any hardware store and they would have shotguns available because it's a farmer's tool, So that's the only reason why over time, shotguns became associated with home defense. But today, the best gun is the AR-15. This is really the only gun that you should consider. And so, get your AR-15 and then get your pistol as the backup gun, okay? And get a full size, either a Glock 17 or a Glock 19. Nothing else. You want it to be in 9mm, okay? 40 cal, 45. Again, under stress. First of all, you got less capacity. Under stress, with a 40 cal, things jumping all over the place, especially if your wife is trying to shoot it. So 9mm, easy to train people on, easy to work under stress. Those are the only two guns you should be buying for home defense. AR-15 and the Glock 17 or a Glock 19. And by all means, yes, do buy these other guns as well, but buy them for recreational purposes. Buy them for, like, if you got a gun like this, yeah, you buy this for everyday carry. You don't buy that for home defense. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it. If you're not a member of my channel, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys next time.